Okay guys, in this video we're going to go over a review of solving inequalities before we start solving the absolute value inequalities. I have about 3 examples, and when you're done you should be able to start working on the quest assignment for 2.3. So just to review some of the rules for solving inequalities. You want to solve each inequality like an equation. So wherever you have your inequality, you're going to just treat it like an equal sign. And the most important rule is that whenever you multiply or divide by a negative, you need to flip the inequality sign. And we'll have a couple of examples that show you that. So to start off, you need to remember how to graph an inequality. So when you see something like this on your number line, okay, this says z is greater than 12. So on your number line at 12, you have an open circle, and since z is greater than 12, the greater than direction is to the right, and you have an arrow pointing to the right. Just a reminder in case you don't remember, if you have greater than or less than, you're going to have an open circle. And if you have greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, that's going to be a closed circle on your number line. If we move over here down to the second one over here, it says 23 is less than or equal to y. You can't graph this the way it is because you don't really see what's happening here. So if you read it backwards from right to left, okay, you see that it's y is greater than or equal to 23. So if you have something like this, the best practice is to flip the entire inequality so that you don't make any mistakes. So you can have y is greater than or equal to 23. One thing that you want to check when you flip it is that it opens in the correct direction. So here you see that it's opening towards the y, and when we flipped it, it's still, the inequality sign is still open towards the y. So make sure that that doesn't change. Sometimes you guys will give me like y is less than or equal to 23, which is incorrect. That is not the same inequality. So we have y is greater than or equal to 23 on a number line. It's going to be a closed circle because we have the equal sign there on the bottom, 23. Closed circle, y is greater than is in the direction to the right, and you draw your little arrow. One thing that you guys need to remember is if you have negative x is less than 3, you can't graph this the way it is because just like in an equation, when you have negative x is equal to 3, you haven't solved for x yet. X is not by itself, so you still need to get rid of that negative here. So you would either divide or multiply by the negative 1, the coefficient that's in front of that x, on both sides. And when you have something like this, that's where your rule comes in, where you have to flip the inequality sign. So you go ahead and divide by that coefficient of 1. So you have x on the left-hand side, negative 3 on the right-hand side, and that inequality is going to change to greater than. Okay, so that when you graph it, you have an open circle at negative 3, x is greater than, and it's going to be to the right. Okay, so be careful with that. A lot of times you guys will just graph x is less than 3, which is incorrect. Make sure that you get rid of that negative there in the front. Okay, so here are a few more complicated examples. You're going to have to remember to combine your like terms and get all of your variables on one side. Okay, so we have this first example here, 9 is less than negative 6n minus 3n. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to combine your like terms. Sorry, that's a t. Combine like terms. So these are both n's. So negative 6 minus 3 is going to give you negative 9n. Now here we have the problem where our variable's on the right hand side, which is no bueno. We don't want that. So you can either flip the inequality now or solve for n and then flip the inequality. I'm going to go ahead and change it now. So we have negative 9n is greater than 9. Okay, this is opening to the negative 9n, and here it's opening to the negative 9n as well. Okay, so we changed it correctly. Now to solve for n, we're going to go ahead and divide that negative 9 on both sides. Now remember, every time that you divided by a negative, your inequality sign has to flip. Okay, so as we flip that, that's going to open in the other direction. So we have n is less than -1. So when we plot that on the number line, we've got 0, -1, open circle, n is less than -1, and it's going to point in the left direction here. On the right hand side, we have -6 times 3x plus 6 is greater than or equal to 7x plus 8. So just like if you were solving an equation for x, the first thing you're going to do is distribute that -6 here and here. Make sure you have to distribute it to everything inside the parentheses. So you have -18x minus 36 is greater than or equal to -7x plus 8. Now you have to get your variables on one side. I tend to put them on the left because it's easier when you read the inequality. So you want to keep your variables on the left. So to move that 7, we have -7x, -7x, -18 minus 7x is going to give you -25x minus 36 is greater than or equal to 8, positive 8. Move that 36 over, plus 36, plus 36. -25x is greater than or equal to 42, right? 44. And then you just solve for x, divide by -25 on each side. Okay, x, and then I'm just going to leave that as a fraction, so we have 44 over -44 over 25. Again, we've divided by a negative, so your inequality here is going to flip. So on a number line, when you graph it, 0, -44 over 25. You could put that into a decimal if you wanted to, so you could kind of see what it was. Closed circle, x is less than that, so less than is to the left. Okay, that's all you guys are doing here for solving inequalities. One of the things that you guys need to keep in mind is how to read these. Read them out loud. Read them, 9 is less than -6 and -3. When you read them out loud, it kind of helps to give you a direction of which way to go. Less than is to the left and greater than is always going to be to the right. And then of course your open and closed circles. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in class or shoot me a reminder.